Hi friends, welcome back to JK Dentis. Today I am going to share important mnemonic tip for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But before moving on to the mnemonic, let's understand the mechanism of NSAIDs. So, NSAIDs are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. What they do? They are anti-inflammatory, anti-pyretic as well as analgesic. What does it mean? Anti-inflammatory means reducing the inflammation, antipyretic means reducing fever, and analgesic means reducing the pain. Along with that, they are non-habit forming drugs as well as they are non-sedative. So it is main important use of the NSAIDs. That's why it is used so much, because they are non-sedative as well as they are non-habit forming drugs. What do NSAIDs do? They basically reduce pain by blocking certain inflammatory mediators. Before moving on to the mediator and mechanism of NSAIDs, I will give you a short idea about mechanism of pain. So let's start about the mechanism of pain. So imagine there is an injury to your hand. Because of the injury, there is bleeding, and at the site of bleeding, there are inflammation. So because of inflammation, there are various cells like mast cells, neutrophils and macrophages at that area. So numerous cells are there, and these cells secrete inflammatory mediators. So which are the different inflammatory mediators? They are prostaglandin, they are histamines, bradykinin, serotonin and many more. So these are secreted by the inflammatory cells. This secretion is acting on the neuron. So this is neuron, and in this neuron there are number of dendrites. So these dendrites are located at the neuron, and the prostaglandin sends the stimulus of the pain at the area of the dendrite, and there is increased inflammatory reaction. Along with that, the other substances like histamine, bradykinin, serotonin also sends the inflammatory mediators near the dendrites, and the inflammatory reaction again increases. Because of the increased inflammatory reaction, there is depolarization of the neuron. What is depolarization? Depolarization is something that is change in the charge. So the neuron's charge is being changed, and the stimuli is carried forward by the first order neuron. So there is something that connects the neuron to the spinal cord, that is spinothalamic cord, that is first order neuron. So by the first order neuron, the stimuli enters the spinal cord. So there is anterior part as well as lateral part of the spinal cord, and the stimuli here goes inside. There it meets the second order neuron, that would say would synapse with the second order neuron, will move laterally and outside in the white matter and will move out. From there, the stimuli is carried through the spinothalamic tract, brainstem to the thalamus. So at the thalamus, it synapses with the third order neuron. So this is third order neuron and this is second order neuron. So what does third order neuron and second order neuron do? The second order neuron carries the stimulus, and the third order neuron will decide where the pain has occurred. Okay, that will give the response. So if there is injury of the right side, your response will be seen on the left side. So this is section of the brain. You can see that this is brain. This is the section of the brain. In the brain there is thalamus, and the outer and the upper part is the somatosensory cortex, as well as it is divided into upper part and the lower part. And this thalamus, third order neuron, will decide where the stimuli will give response. So this was about the pain theory. So now we will see what these NSAIDs do. They block pain by blocking prostaglandins. So as you know, prostaglandins are secreted by the mast cells, neutrophils and macrophages. But we will see in detail how they are secreted. So these cells have cell membrane, or you can say phospholipids. These phospholipids forms arachidonic acid. This arachidonic acid later converted into prostaglandin H2, which further converts into prostaglandin E2 and prostaglandin F2. The main important point is that all this conversion occurs in the presence of an enzyme called as COX and 5-LOX. So our concern is about this COX. There are main two types of COX, COX-1 inhibitors and COX-2 inhibitors. So basically NSAIDs block prostaglandins by blocking COX-1 as well as COX-2. That is, they are blocking this. Now we will see in detail what this COX-1 and COX-2 do. So basically COX-1, they are present physiologically. That is, it is a good enzyme, first thing. Secondarily, it maintains hemostasis of the kidneys as well as stomach mainly. Third, it increases platelet aggregation, means it helps in clotting. But what is COX-2? COX-2 is not present. It comes when there is any injury, when there is any trauma. It comes when there is inflammation. So COX-2 is something that is secreted at the time of inflammation. So it is secreted at the time of inflammation. Now what non-selective NSAIDs do? They block both COX-1 and COX-2. As I have told you, COX-1 is responsible for platelet aggregation. If this will be blocked, there will be bleeding, because COX are doing clotting mechanism. Secondarily, in kidneys there will be increased risk of nephritis. In stomach there will be increased acid production, because it was maintaining hemostasis in the stomach, maintaining the acid production, which may lead to further peptic ulcer. So blocking COX-1 can affect bleeding, nephritis and kidneys mainly. Along with that, it also leads to bronchospasm. That's why these drugs are sometimes not advised in patients of asthma, because it increases or aggravates their condition. So NSAIDs block COX-1. What happens when there is COX-2? In the COX-2, they mainly inhibit prostaglandin secretion. Along with that, their action is by vascular endothelium. So they basically have action directly on the heart. That's why they are given as a short acting drug and not advised in the cases of ischemic heart diseases, because they do exactly opposite mechanism to the platelets, and it reduces the platelet aggregation, because there can be risk of clotting in the heart patients. So this is about COX-1 and COX-2 along with their side effects. What do non-selective non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs? They block COX-1 as well as COX-2. Now we will see about what is selective COX-2 inhibitors. So, selective COX-2, as the name says, it mainly less inhibits prostaglandins and selectively inhibits COX-2. They don't have any action on COX-1. So basically COX-1 was good. It will not affect COX-2. So it is very beneficial to give COX-2 in certain cases where there are problems with the kidney or any peptic ulcer or extreme acid production. In that case, we should give the COX-2 because it is not affecting the function of COX-1. But there are certain disadvantages because, as I have already told you, it leads to heart problems. Then comes preferential COX inhibitors. They basically less inhibit prostaglandin and less affects the COX-2. The both actions are less in preferential COX-2 inhibitors. The example is nimesulide. While the selective COX-2 inhibitors are coxib, celecoxib is one of the example. While there is another important class that is about COX-2 inhibitors is paracetamol, which is widely used, but it is not anti-inflammatory. It is only antipyretic as well as analgesic, and excessive use may lead to hepatic toxicity. So it is very important about the dose of paracetamol when it is given in the children or in the adult. Excessive should be avoided to prevent hepatic toxicity. So I have in short explained you about pain pathway, how the prostaglandins are secreted, what is COX-1, what is COX-2, what is non-selective NSAIDs, what is selective NSAIDs, what are preferential NSAIDs. So in short, I have covered about NSAIDs. Now we will see mnemonic on how to remember the big classification of NSAIDs.